Good evening. Call the June 4th, 2024 Town Council meeting to order at 6:33 PM. We have Town Manager Burt, who will be remote this evening, as well as Councilor Bordelon. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Councilor Bordelon will be late this evening. She messaged. We will go on to roll call. Madam Clerk?
Present. Here. Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
I am here, thank you. All right, moving on to salute of the flag. Everybody please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, up first, we have recognition, awards, and memorials. Councilor Parker, would you like to take that?
Yes, I will, Madam Mayor. Proclamation celebrating the USS V1 Groton Subbase 60th anniversary, whereas the U.S. Submarine Veterans, Inc., that's a VI. USSVI was established in 1963 by members from Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania, with a passion for veteran recognition and committee. And whereas on May 22nd, 1964, the state of Connecticut officially chartered and incorporated the USSVI as a recognized organization, and meetings began at a local Knights of Columbus in Groton, where shipmates Dominic Joe Negri and Dick Higman were elected the first state commander and the first base commander of the organization. And whereas the USSVI later raised money and acquired the building at 40 School Street in 1966, originally designated as the national headquarters for the organization, and whereas since this time, the national headquarters has been moved to Silverdale, Washington, and today the USSVI is known to have approximately 164 bases throughout the United States with roughly 13,000 members, and whereas the building at 40 School Street, known as the Joe Negri Memorial Clubhouse, still supports veterans in the community and provides a safe home base for those to come together and support one another, and whereas the members of the USSVI continue to sacrifice and give back to one another and the community in their daily lives, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Council would like to congratulate the USSVI Groton base on their 60th anniversary and building rededication, and wish their continued success. Dated at Groton, Connecticut, this 30th day of May, 2004, signed by Mayor Rachel Frankel.
Thank you. Okay. Up next are public hearings. Would you like to read, well, actually, I think the Blight public hearing has been canceled. So we are going to move on to the Neighborhood Assistance Act. Would you like to read that one, please?
Notice is hereby given that the town of Groton will conduct a public hearing by the town council on June 4th, 2024 at 6:30 PM at Groton Town Hall Annex, 134 Groton Long Point Road, Groton, Connecticut, 06340, to solicit public input on the 2024 Connecticut Neighborhood Assistance Act proposals. Thames Valley Council for Community Action, Inc. has submitted a 2024 Connecticut Neighborhood Assistance Act, NAA proposal. The proposal is for energy conservation measures, installing energy-efficient windows in their new child care facility. NAA funds requested $65,000. The Riverfront Children's Center has submitted a 2024 Connecticut Neighborhood Assistance Act, NAA proposal. The proposal is for energy conservation measures through the low E window installation. NAA funds request $65,000. Groton Public School has submitted a 2024 Connecticut Neighborhood Assistance Act, NAA proposal. The proposal is for energy conservation through installation of energy-efficient lighting and sound equipment in the auditorium at Fitch High School, NAA. Funds requested, $141,000, dated at Groton, Connecticut, this 24th day of May, 2024. Marisol Melendez, Groton Town Clerk.
Thank you. Shall we get the, thank you. Please remind me to hand these back to you after the meeting. Thank you. Okay, I don't see anybody signed up for the Neighborhood Assistance Act. Would anybody like to speak on this public hearing? Okay, I don't see anybody. All right, on to the next item. Do I have to close out the public hearing?
Yes, close it out so it'll be.
Okay, we will close out the hearing with no speakers. Thank you. Moving on to the additional early voting locations.
Okay. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the Groton Town Council on June 4th, 2024, at 6:30 p.m. to solicit comments from town and city residents on the possibility of multiple early voting locations according to Connecticut Public Act Number 23-5. Comments can be given in person at the Groton Town Hall Annex at 134 Groton Long Point Road, Groton, in Community Room 1, or via Zoom by registering in advance via email at council@groton-ct.gov. For those that cannot attend the meeting, comments may be submitted in writing to the town clerk's office or via email at council@groton-ct.gov.
Okay, thank you. So we have some people written here. I believe the first three are together. Okay, we have Kristen Vendetti, Janine Rogers, and Barbara Parsons. Let me just state that, let me just read this real quick. I believe on public hearings, we are still on the time limit. And that this portion of the council meeting agenda, where the councilors welcome comments from the public, each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes, or as directed by the mayor, and if possible, submit written comments. Presentations should be related to matters pertinent to Groton. Doesn't quite pertain to the public hearings. But all presentations should be made from the lectern and should include the speaker's name and address for the record. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kristen Venditti. My address is 91 Shenecusset Parkway in Groton.
Jeannie Rogers, 4 Fitch Avenue, Groton.
Barbara Parsons, 124 Brandy Ave, Groton.
Okay, and before I begin, I sent a slide to Town Manager Burt, if he can, there we go. If you guys would like a copy, I brought copies, if you need one. You have one? Okay, perfect. Okay. So I just did some statistics. So I'm actually speaking as a citizen and not as the registrar of voters, but I did get my statistics from the voter registration, obviously, office. So I just wanted to explain the graph here. I depict the last 3 presidential elections. So that's the year on the left. Then the voters, that's how many registered voters we had during that election. The next column is who actually voted, so that's the count of how many people voted. And then the next one is ABS, which stands for absentee. So that's the number of people that voted by absentee. The next one is the percentage of the total voters that voted versus the total that were registered to vote. So you'll see it's like for presidentials, it's pretty high, 82, 92, and 91. And then the absentees, I put in there because we didn't have any statistics for early voting before this April election. So I just used basic absentee as an option for people that may vote absentee or may vote early. It might be around the same number. So for absentees, you'll see that, you know, and obviously in 2020, 40% of the people that voted absentee. And then the normal for 2016 and 2012 was 7 and 5. If you look on the right-hand side, it says presidential primary early voting. So I did the same thing for that. I did the total number of people that were eligible to vote, then the total number of people that voted. I got that percentage, and then multiplied who came into early vote versus who actually voted, not the total number of registered voters. So I got 6%, which works out to be pretty close to the absentee markers when it wasn't COVID. So what I did down on the bottom left is the average number voted is 88%. The average absentees was 16%. So I did that based on the numbers that we have currently for registered voters. And that came out to, for the presidential election, we have 14 days of early voting. So if I multiplied or divided the number so that we would get, on average, if it goes according to the statistics that I presented, about 200 people per day may show up. Now, to give you, that may sound like a lot, but to give you an idea, in our polling locations, we have roughly the same number of workers, and they can see anywhere up to 3,000 in one day. Then I multiply that out and be like 20 per hour. The cost for one location for the presidential is roughly $20,000. If we add a second location, that will double the cost to $40,000. And if we put a third location in, that'll be $60,000. So over on the bottom right, to talk about if we do other locations, the city would have 4 voters per hour. If we did one in Mystic, based on the Mystic registrations, those would be 5 per hour, and then about 12 that would show up to the regular one. So now as my resident speaker person, sorry, the words just like flew out of my head. I don't see that there is a need for any additional locations. And I did get some information from people saying, well, why are you going with the city? Because I told them that if we did one, you know, we would definitely put one in the city, because that tends to be a location that people have difficulty getting around. My other opinion is that if you put it at the city municipal building, which we don't want to put it in a school, so the only other option is the beach or the city municipal building. Both the beach and the city municipal building are not on the bus route, thank you. However, where we would have our first primary location is on every bus location. So anybody that doesn't have a vehicle should be able to have access to get to the first location, which is right across or right next to the town hall, as you're aware. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have Dana Parfit.
My name is Dana Parfit. I live at 32 St. Paul Court here in Groton, and I have my friends here, Linda and Linda, don't confuse that though, who are also poll workers. I've been a poll worker with Groton for off and on over 20 years in lots of different places, absentees where I really stay the most and love it. I had the pleasure of working through the primary to learn the whole early voting routine and how it came in. The thing that was interesting to me was not one single person said they came to early voting because they wouldn't be able to go to their polling location on that day. Everyone who came in said they either came in because they were interested in seeing the process or because they wanted to do it for the first time. So I don't think that while we got people, we didn't get people who couldn't get there on election day. And for that main reason, I don't feel we need a separate location. I think that the one location will totally service us. And for November, there's 14 full days. So that's 14 days that people have the opportunity to get there. If transportation is an issue, I know that both of the major parties in Groton offer transportation as well as the bus line. So transportation isn't, in my opinion, the bigger issue. Access is the issue, and everybody has that fair access. Our registrar's office does such a great job at making sure everyone has the opportunity to vote, be it by absentee ballot or coming in person, doing curbside for handicap access. It truly does go above and beyond everything possible to make sure our voters have that opportunity. So for me, when I see that you've just finished our wonderful budget, and I'm so thankful you guys worked so hard, and I appreciate all you did to try and keep our taxes down. So why would we now step out and spend $20,000 on an extra location when we haven't lived through it yet? I support living through this next round, finding out if the state's going to make any changes for us, and then deciding what we need to do for next time. But for this time, finding volunteers to work all those slots is hard every year. You see it at your own polling location, how many people that is. It's hard to come by those volunteers and those workers, and it's a cost we just don't need. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Up next, we have Scott Ramsey.
Hi, I'm Scott Ramsey, 192 South Shore Avenue in Groton, and I'm simply here to say I concur with the statements made by the ladies before me. I think one site will suffice for our purposes for the early voting. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That's all we have written on our sheet. Would anybody else like to come up?
Hi, my name is Genevieve Surf, 6 Pearl Street in Mystic. I agree that we don't really need the extra early voting places. I've been observing the voting process in Groton for 25 years now, and I have to say, and I say it a lot in public blogs and things like that, people who say, oh, the elections are rigged and all of that, I say they are absolutely not rigged. We have a process in America to protect our democracy because of all these wonderful volunteers who work the polls. I have just never seen such a group of such committed, dedicated people and honest and really intent on holding up that process, which is what our democracy is built up. And so I want to commend all the registrars and the people who work as volunteers. The process is so smooth now, it is impossible to cheat. I don't think we need early voting places because I think people actually really like to go to the polls on election day. There's a kind of an excitement there, and they run into their friends. And so I really feel the only people who do early voting are the ones who really need this, don't want to stand in line, and they want all the room that they need to vote. The one comment that I would like to make is I have often seen in a big election that the line is so long that people who have disabilities, for instance, trouble walking or walking with a cane, don't have a place to sit, all that stuff, I hate to see them have to wait a half an hour or an hour outside the building to be able to go in and vote. And I don't know if you have the authority to do that, but if we had a process where we could allow the disabled, elderly, whatever, to go to the head of the line and do their voting so they can go home and they don't have to stand out in the cold and the rain or whatever it is, I think that would be very helpful. I felt very badly for those people when I've seen them have to wait. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to come up and speak? Okay. We're going to close the hearing on additional early voting locations.
Okay. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the Town Council of the Town of Groton, Connecticut on Tuesday, June 4th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. in Community Room 1, Town Hall Annex 134, Groton Long Point Road, Groton, Connecticut, to receive comments on a proposal to amend Section 4 of the town's ordinance to establish hours of operation for BYOB establishment. The proposed amendment is to substitute the following for Section 4A of the ordinance. A, no alcoholic liquor may be consumed on the premises of such BYOB establishments between the hours of 10 p.m. and 10 a.m. Section 4A currently prohibits the consumption of alcoholic liquor between the hours of 12 a.m. to 10 a.m. Dated at Groton, Connecticut, this 29th day of May, 2024. Marisol Melendez, Groton Town Clerk.
Thank you. I have nobody written down on my sheet. Is there, I will say that I also cannot see the participants if we have anybody online, so,
There are none.
all right, thank you. Is there anybody who would like to speak this evening? Come on up. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jake Dunnigan. I live on 12 Ashby Street. I'm here in two capacities. One as a representative of the Economic Development Commission, which I am a commissioner of, and in my personal capacity with respect to this ordinance change. I only learned about the ordinance change at an economic development meeting, so I'm not sure where the origin of the change came from, but in our review at our commission meeting, we came to the conclusion that it didn't make a lot of sense without getting some good feedback from the business community. And we are working on developing those relationships. A lot of the commissioners are new, and we're sort of reestablishing our influence in the town. But after that, we also started thinking, who does this even apply to? So as far as I can tell, there's only one restaurant in town that's ever open past 10 o'clock that is a BYOB restaurant, and that's Fantasia on Fridays and Saturdays, and they close at 11. So if this ordinance is for 2 hours at one restaurant, I'm not so sure why we're doing it. And we'd be happy to talk to that restaurant about it. It just seems unnecessary is really the only word. But at the same time, would have very little consequences if you passed it. So I guess the real question I would pose to you is there a reason to make a change if it's really going to have no effect on the town, or if the worry is about future restaurants or establishments having those hours until midnight? Because if that's the case, that's also something that we could help facilitate and make sure that everyone's on the same page. That's all I really had. Vote however you're like, just know it's not going to do much either way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you just, I'm sorry, I didn't hear, did you give the address of Fantasia, where it's located?
Fantasia is, it's in the same plaza as Chester's. Chester's is another BYO place. There's only 9 in the whole town: Costello's, Paul's, Chester's, Rolling Tomato, Friendly Tie, Kyoto, Ortega's, and Fantasia, as well as the places where you can get lobster, whose names are changing this summer. But all of those places close before 9 o'clock, so
Thank you.
no problem.
All right, appreciate it. Would anybody else like to speak on the BYOB ordinance update? Okay, I don't see anybody else. So we will close the hearing on the BYOB ordinance. Okay, up next is citizens petitions, and this is where I really have to read this one. All right, this is the portion of the council agenda where the council welcomes comments from the public. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes, and if possible, submit written comments. Presentations should be related to matters pertinent to Groton. Town councilors will only ask questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation. All presentations shall be made from the lectern and should include the speaker's name and address for the record. Up first, we have Robert D'Agostino.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. My name is Robert D'Agostino, and I am here tonight to submit to the council a signed petition listing Groton residents who want to show their support Can't hear me? My name is Robert D'Agostino. I'm here tonight to submit to the council a signed petition listing Groton residents. Very good.
Is there somebody not muted
No, they're.
online, or is this somebody in the audience
Us,
speaking?
audience.
There's
Can the
nothing coming
audience
from
please
online.
not speak while we have presenters speaking? Thank you. We can hear you.
Okay.
Hello?
Should I continue?
Just please pause a moment. Can we not have people speak in the galley while people are speaking publicly? Thank you. Okay, continue. I apologize.
It's okay. My name is Robert D'Agostino, and I'm here tonight to submit to the council a signed petition listing Groton residents who want to show their support for my adaptive reuse Butler School proposal, which includes open space with wildflower gardens and native trees and an updated multi-use recreational park. As a strong supporter of historic preservation, I was pleased to hear that the town council has shown their support for the adaptive reuse of the Groton Heights Elementary School. Historic buildings are a record of ourselves and our communities, and preserving historic resources creates a visible connection with the community's history and culture. Historic places such as the Butler School also help to preserve and promote the human stories of people who built, lived, or worked in them. If any resident has questions regarding my proposal for the Butler School, I welcome them to contact me at my email at robertdag759@gmail.com. And I've also scheduled time at the Groton Public Library in Meeting Room Number 1 this Saturday, June 8th, between 10 to 12 a.m. If any resident would like to visit and find out more about my proposal in detail, let's save the SB Butler School and keep it green too. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to submit this to Marisol. Is that right?
Yes, please. Up next, Martin Drab.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and councilors. I was here to speak on the blight issue.
Okay,
Which
can
is-
you give your name and your address?
Oh, sorry. Marty Drab, 511 Groton Long Point Road. Apologize. I guess what I was going to talk about tonight was canceled, so I'm just going to make a general comment. I live right down this road here, not a quarter of a mile. Nice homes, well-kept, nice lawns, except my next-door neighbor. Hasn't cut the grass in 3 years. I've got trees growing there. It's very visible. I've had people drive down his driveway and ask me if the house was deserted. He lives there part-time, from what I can tell. I can't really see that much between the yards. And in the last couple of years, because my wife has a garden along the edge, I started cutting his grass so she doesn't have wild animals coming out. We've had snakes come out of there, foxes, because we have woods behind us. We have nothing but woods. So when he doesn't cut the grass, it's a continuation of the woods. So that's kind of what I was going to talk about, and maybe when they reschedule the blight thing, I'll come back and gripe about it again. But that was really why I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Bruce Burton.
Bruce Burton, 28 Clipper Court. And my only question is, I'm just trying to find out if voting is the same throughout the state as it is here in Groton, where we have to show a picture ID, and they line out your address, and that's it. So, you know, for voting security. And I don't know if anybody can tell me that or not. I don't know if it's town-specific or if it's the same throughout the state. So if anybody knows, I'd appreciate hearing it.
Okay, thank you. Up next, Genevieve Cerf.
Oh, excuse me, I'd like Susan to go first, if that's possible.
Okay.
Came together and we wanted to.
Okay, Susan Friedley.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Susan Friday from 33 Steamboat Wharf. My husband and I have lived there since 1989, when we bought. 30 of us came a year and a half, 2 years ago, about downtown chaos, and I'd like to compliment you on some of the actions that were taken. For one thing, one of the restaurants that was very rowdy, calling in a very young group of people, over-serving them, playing music till 3 a.m. You've brought that under control, and we really appreciate it. It's made a difference. Your actions, I think, were also instrumental in Laz, the parking lot manager. The parking lot, as you all know, is owned by the Mystic Museum of Art. As a side comment, I'd like to say that the police force do not understand this. They refer to it as public property. And when I've called in the police to help me with problems of people mishandling their dogs in my garden, they tell me that I have no right to even call them because it's public property, and therefore people can do whatever they want on it. So if someone could talk to the chief about that, I'd really appreciate it, and that certainly the officers that are assigned to downtown Mystic should know that that is private property. And my garden, which a large part of it is on the museum grounds with their permission, is part of that private property. Laz has also, one of their gatekeepers takes it upon herself to clean up the parking lot whenever she is on duty. And that's made a big difference to the littering. Littering is a terrible problem. The Chamber of Commerce has done such a wonderful job bringing in hordes of people for happy events, and that's fine. But I've talked to the Chamber, and they say they're not responsible for cleanup. We have parades in town. Lots of happy people. Young people get to strut their stuff. It's great. But there's no operations to clean up. The wind blows trash into our condominium area, into the garden. It's really out of control. And I'm sure that people on some of the side streets and Main Street are feeling the same problem. One of the problems is there's not enough trash receptacles. There's none in the parking lot area. There's none in the museum area. I understand there's one downtown. On Main Street, I haven't seen it. The side streets don't have any. Just yesterday, when my husband and I were working in my garden, a woman came up with a loaded doggy bag and said, "Can I throw this in the back of your pickup truck?" Because there's no trash receptacles. But that's a lot better than the people who just walk by and throw their loaded bags into my garden. Again, I don't think this is limited to my garden. People urge their dogs, direct their dogs into my garden. Again, there's no control over that. Police do not respond. In addition to the littering problem, people damage property, people damage plants. Very expensive lilies of mine have just been cut off at the head. There's rampant public urination, not just on my property. I'm not at liberty. I didn't know about this meeting, so I didn't have time to call other people I know in town who have told me that their properties and their gardeners have been damaged by public urination.
Thank you.
I know my time is up. I just want to say we need consequences for these actions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Up next, Genevieve Cerf.
Hi, my name is Genevieve Cerf. I live at 6 Pearl Street in Mystic. Susan and I are sort of, as you can probably tell, we're complicit in this citizens petition tonight because of the fact that, you know, there's been yet another effort made at a state level to encourage even more tourists in Mystic. And the problem is there's a tipping point for those of us who live there where all of a sudden it's not residential anymore. It's like Disneyland. And if you live there and you try to have a garden and you don't want people coming in and urinating in your garden and killing your plants and now leaving their wipes there because they have personal wipes they come with, and they also do it in the alley behind my house. They urinate there, and I see the package where it says personal wipe, and they leave the personal wipe for me to pick up. This isn't right. I mean, one of the reasons Mystic is so well loved by everyone and the people who come there is because of the fact that there is that historic district, including the residential areas. That's part of the charm. But if the residential areas look like they're all peed on and littered, and people are trampling all over the plants, it's rapidly going to lose interest, both for the people who are living there and the people who are visiting. So what I'm proposing, I want to thank you, by the way, for whoever decided to have some extra police force there. That's really encouraging. But all the studies that I've seen about Mystic and the parking and all of that haven't really included, I think, enough residents. People like Susan and I, actually, who spend time outside, who want to have nice gardens. We talk to the tourists. We had a nice conversation with tourists today. So I would like to suggest that maybe we have a temporary subcommittee on how we can work with the police and work cooperatively with them so that some of our problems, and maybe the town manager, because part of it involves a public toilet. I'd like to know when the public toilet is open. And speaking of drinking, they're there drinking till 2 in the morning, and that's the worst crowd, the midnight to 2 in the morning drinking crowd, because when they come out, they are really loaded and they can't even find their cars. So I would also like to suggest trash cans on the side streets like Pearl and Gravel, whatever the side streets are from the main street, because that's where they park their cars and that's where they go to, you know, I hate to say it, this public urination thing is starting to be a real problem. And so extra trash cans would be there. You might even want to pass an ordinance saying that there's a large fine for littering, trespassing on public property, and public urination. Now, I know it's impossible to enforce. Susan called one time when there were people who were peeing in her garden, and the police said they needed to catch a person in the act. Well, of course, by the time she called and they got there, that guy was long gone. So it is very hard to enforce, but if at least we could have the signs up, you know, urging respect and saying that there's going to be accountability if they don't respect our town and our property, maybe that would make a difference. And more signs pointing to the public toilet, and the public toilet definitely has to stay open past 2 in the morning. So, as I said, I know it's hard to enforce, and I'm not expecting, and I don't want the rest of the world to know this, certainly not the tourists, I'm not expecting that you would have large enforcement teams, but maybe you could at least have the signs, you know, threatening that there will be accountability if they don't behave themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we don't have anybody else on our list. Is there anybody else here that would like to speak? Come on up.
Good evening, Town Council, residents of Groton. My name is Jean-Claude Amboise. I live at 169 Shinnecock Parkway. I am a resident of District 2. I'm on the RTM. I was unanimously voted moderator of that body. I want to play for you a recording of the previous Town Council meeting from May 7th, 2024. I just want to note for the record, it's on YouTube, 1 hour, 17 minutes, 47 seconds.
Your counselors who I have heard.
Hold on one second, I goofed up because I'm not good with technology because I work in a...
Who have talked about affordable housing and had listed all these things and maybe stated how they are in favor of it and made numerous comments about it. But the way I look at us as a council, it is our responsibility to try and bring forward solutions. If you have solutions, you should bring it to the council and try and get support for your solution. And because I do hear some comments from people, but I'm not hearing solutions to them, and that's the issue. People can talk about it, but until we bring forward the actual solutions.
Point of order.
You could,
Point of order.
your point of order.
I think you're implying that certain counselors aren't doing something, and I think that is a decorum issue. So I would ask that you speak for yourself and not for everybody else, please. Thank you.
Thanks, I am. I'm speaking as the mayor.
Well,
Thank you.
I mean, would you like me to rebuttal on your remarks? Because I find them offensive. So I'm asking for decorum.
Thank you, Council
That's your
Bordelon.
opinion,
Council
not
Bordelon.
the truth.
You don't have the floor anymore.
Well,
Thank
you
you.
need to speak that
You don't
that's
have the
your
floor
opinion.
anymore. Council Bordelon.
I know
you
that,
do have the
but I
floor.
ask that you ask for decorum all the time. I ask that you
Councilor
use
Bordelon.
that same thing with yourself. Thank you. Decorum. Do we have
Thank
a
you,
ruling
Council
on that?
Bordelon.
Decorum?
Recess.
Yeah, let's have a recess. I agree. Thank you.
Councilor
Second on that. Let's
Councilor
have a
Bordelon.
recess.
Madam
For
Mayor.
decorum issues. Thank you.
Councilor Bordelon.
I'd like to
You
recess.
do not have the floor.
I'd like to recess because of decorum issues, like you do.
Councilor Bordelon.
Well, we should recess.
Can you please stop interrupting?
I
You do
don't
not
like how
have-
you're treating other people up here by making gross assumptions and
Point
your
of
own
order.
opinion. Thank you. Maybe she'll listen to your point of order.
Councilor Bordelon. I have the right to make my comments as the mayor on the committee of the whole in my discussions.
But you don't
I
have
would
the right
ask
to
that
group everybody
councilors
into that
bring-
with your opinion. Decorum.
I have every right to make my opinion known.
No.
You make your opinion known.
Speak under your own, you can't speak as the mayor for everybody
Councilor,
else.
we will take a
Thank you.
recess.
I agree.
And Councilor Bordelon, you are completely out of order.
I agree
You are
with
out
you.
of line.
You're out of line
You
as
do not
well.
have the floor.
Decorum.
You need to stop.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I asked you to do. Thank you.
I'm like,
It's
we will
not
take
good
a
for everybody.
recess.
Yes, please.
7:51. 10 minutes. 7:51. Thank you.
You gotta give it to get it.
10 minutes.
So that's what happened last month. You were all here. Some stated it all happened so fast. Others wanted to hear the recording, so I gave it to you. This is an embarrassment for the town of Groton. We've had this happening for the last 5 years. And again, we have rules in place. The reason why I got back on the RTM is try to curb this kind of behavior, at least on the RTM level. And again, in my opinion, it's working. I think you guys have to do the same thing. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just suggesting that you guys take this to referral I've already sent it for the record so that it can be posted with this meeting's agenda so that everybody can see. Have the referral to the Rules Committee to decide whether or not Mayor Franco was out of order with calling the point of order in her remarks, which is under Rule 8D3C in your rules. Please take a look. And whether or not the other counselor that was speaking was following those rules as well. It's important that we hold people accountable. We represent Groton. We don't want to look bad in front of our children. This isn't how I want my kids to act. I don't want my representatives to think that that's the way I act, and I voted for you all as well, so you have to represent all of us, and you have to represent us respectfully and professionally. So please, thank you for that.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? I don't see anybody else with their hands. So we will close public comments, citizens petitions, and I think we should take a break because some people may want to leave at this time, and we'll have to break anyway because of the noise. So it is 7:19. We'll take probably a 10-minute break and recess, and we'll be back in 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay, we're back from recess. It's 7:39. On to our next item, which is the consent calendar. Counselor Gieske, would you like to take that?
Motion to approve the consent calendar.
There is actually on page 13, I believe now.
Sorry,
It's
I'm not there.
we now have
14?
resolutions for these?
Resolution accepting town council minutes, be it resolved that the minutes of the town council meeting of May 7th, 2024, and the town council special meeting minutes on May 14th, 2024, and May 28th, 2024 are hereby accepted and approved. So moved.
Second, Parker.
All right, so that was moved by Gieske. Seconded by Parker. Okay, so I have a note on page 18. It is in the section of Committee of the Whole, Mayor Franco, where we had to take a recess. A recess was called at 7:51 PM. Right above that, I would like it to notate that the mayor called a recess due to Councilor Bordelon being out of order. And add that to our minutes.
Does that need to be seconded?
That needs to be voted upon.
I'll make a motion then.
Second.
So amended by Franco. Seconded by Pacino. Okay.
Just a question regarding that.
Councilor McBride?
Thank you. Have we ever commented why we've gone into recess in the past? I'm wondering if that is necessary, because we usually just go into recess.
Right, but I also made I gave a summary one day of some changes that were going to be happening in the council. I have gotten direction from the town attorneys. The town attorneys have said that these things should be put into our minutes, and as well as Robert's rules state that when points of order are called or people are called out of order and things of that nature, these things should be in our minutes. It
Okay,
is in Robert's rules, and the town attorneys have also brought that forward.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. I just, in the future, it'd be nice to continue to do that as well. If we're gonna
I
start that
agree,
process.
I agree. And maybe people who write our minutes up will take note of that. So, okay, any other comments? Okay, so we will vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, that passes 8-0.
Is that the first part of the
And
motion?
then, yes, you are correct. We will now take a vote on the full minutes with the amendments. Councilor McBride?
I have a change on page 28, which reflects the May 28, 2024 minutes. If you look at new business 2, resolution establishing tax rate, third paragraph down, it says resolved that 4 million is hereby appropriated. I believe we appropriated 5 million. And then the last sentence, the mill rate 23.30, I believe that was 23.08. So I think this was the original.
Yes.
And then we changed that. So I'm not sure if Town Manager Burt, I don't have the calculation, that's the only thing I don't know, but I know the mill rate, I believe it was changed to 23.08, and it was certainly a $5 million use of fund balance, so I'm sure the calculation.
Those are both correct.
Who is that?
That's.
It's John. He is correct on those.
Correct. All right, so are you making an amended motion?
Yes.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
Okay, so amended. And that is section, page 28. McBride, seconded by Parker. Okay. Any other changes or issues that people see? Okay, we will vote on this amended motion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 8-0. Now we're going to do a final vote on both amendments as well as the main motion. So all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 8-0. All right, moving on, we have communications and reports. We will start with Counselor Merritt. Do you have anything to share with, for communications and reports? Your microphone.
I attended the beautification committee meeting, and just to give them some advice, they had one issue where they want to plant some trees at the corner of Depot Road and Route 1, and I advised them that they should do call before you dig. I'm sure there's a lot in the road there, and for their purpose intended, I'm not really in favor of it.
Okay.
And I recall speaking to one of them about where they're buying their trees, et cetera, and try to buy local if they can. They're going way out of town to buy, and I think they should pass it by the town manager also because of the location. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Counselor Pacino.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have nothing to pass today.
All right, thank you. Counselor Rusk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I attended the Subvets 60th anniversary last week. I want to say congratulations to Subvets on their anniversary and on their rededication of their clubhouse. As the wife of a 21-year Subvet and a member of Subvets, it was an honor to be there. I also watched the May 28th, 2024 Board of Ed meeting, and I was very disturbed to hear that $94,000 plus was removed from the Groton Food Services budget. These are federal funds. I'm understanding that these are going to be returned. I'm concerned on what's going on and would like an update from the Board of Ed on what is going on with their budget and that money specifically. Additionally, I'm concerned that suddenly Groton Food Services is expected to pay rent, which was never done in the past, and my understanding was this was never discussed with them. So I would love an update on that as well. I received communications regarding the BYOB policy, which we didn't discuss tonight, early voting locations, information on the hurricane season, and a lot of people discussing behavior at the last few meetings, which I'm going to address. So I want to say thank you to Moderator Amboise for coming tonight and speaking during citizen petitions. Unfortunately, this council, I feel, has come to expect a certain level of lack of decorum at every meeting. This has become a norm, and it's something that we need to do better at to ensure that it's not tolerated, whether that lack of decorum is directed at fellow councilors, the mayor, or at residents of our community. And I believe that this is something that we as a council need to look at and potentially put in new rules if that is necessary. I will leave it at that for now, but I do want to apologize to Moderator Amboise for allowing an attack to happen at the last meeting, and it was not addressed enough by myself. I'll put that on me. So thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Jones.
Thank you, Mayor Franco. I attended I believe it's the third, community session run by our Planning and Development Department. This was on Civics 101. It was very interesting, and they focused on people volunteering and being involved in community different community committees and boards, and if you want to change your community, you need to be involved. So it was a terrific session. I also did this weekend was Connecticut Trails Day. I hiked Candlewood Ridge with about 10 other people and had a great time. It was beautiful. I also want to address last week's meeting. I agree with the comments by Councilor Rusk. And this is addressed to RTM moderator J.C. Amboise, who's in the audience. I thank him for being here. J.C., I apologize for not standing up to you last meeting. I felt intimidated and frozen as to what to do. I don't have anger and yelling in my life. That is not how I live and don't want it directed at me. I sit here every week waiting for this week's explosion, and I try to stay under the radar. I've been a counselor now for 3 years and love being a town counselor. I get to work with the town staff, with John Burt, able to represent the town at many events and functions and helping make Groton the great place that it is. I'm also honored to work with my fellow counselors that are sitting up here with me tonight. It's a real honor. But once a week, I have to come here and spend 4 hours waiting for this week's explosion of anger and yelling. It is awful. It takes a day or two for me to recover from it. I'm a volunteer and should not have to be subjected to this every week. There is one phrase that is said to me by residents over and over, and they say it to me in the woods, at the senior center, at the grocery store, events, wherever I am. I'm so sorry you have to deal with this. So I will say to you, I'm so sorry you have to deal with this, and I apologize. Thank you.
Councilor McBride.
Thank you. Relatively slow week since last week's meeting. I really just received some correspondence from residents on the Board of Ed non-lapsing fund, how it works. Some people reached out for that. Some people also, one individual reached out regarding healthcare updates and where we stand with that in terms of what's going on. And I don't have an answer for that, so I'll follow up with Town Manager Burt to respond to that resident. And some questions on the audits, on whether or not they're going to be completed by May 31st, which I'm not sure if they were, so I'll ask Town Manager Burt that later on. But a relatively slow week. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Gajewski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First thing, I too was looking back. I do, for those of you who don't know, I do go back and watch our meetings after, just in case I do miss anything, and just to pick up on things that that may be informative to me, because as I have said, things do happen very quickly up here. And with all your notes and reading your packets and listening to discussion, doing it on, I do rewatch them. After rewatching past week's, that the decorum that was going on was completely, it's kind of hit the boiling point for me, and I am currently working on a proposal and a referral to the Rules Committee about how we could potentially address that, and I hope that those ideas and referral will address the moderators of the RTM's issues that transpired in last week's meeting. On a more positive note, I attended my monthly Children First Groton meeting this morning. They reviewed their social media proposal, so they are going to be resetting their social media accounts. So that will be slowly phasing in over the next 6 months. As I reported last month, they have 3 new leaders. And then they are getting ready to do their summer story walks and getting the materials for that. They are working with Parks and Rec and the Denison Pequot Nature Center. So to do some summer engagement activities for children. And then they are also launching a kind of a different version of their Groton Go Explore. There are 4 categories that they have: promoting health and well-being, developing safe and strong families, actively learning new things, and engaging in physical activities. So, for example, for parents, they are encouraged, they can pick these up at pretty much the libraries and pretty much every other town-owned buildings, and they'll be out throughout the community, and it can also be found on the Children First Groton Facebook page. But an example of something would be cook a healthy meal to eat together with your family. Visit your local firehouse for a tour and get reflective safety vests to wear while walking and biking is another one for developing safe and strong families. Actively learning new things. Make time every day to keep and log and turn it in to all the things you're doing. Sign up for the summer library reading program. Go to a museum, free or discounted. Passes can be available at the library. So engaging in physical activities, walking or jog around one of the local town tracks. So great activities for young kids to do this summer, and I encourage those to participate. And I look forward to working with the new Children First Groton leadership. And I will submit this to the clerk so she can post it in the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Parker.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I know everybody probably reported out last week, but I did attend the parades and the Sovets Memorial Day events. Thank you to both for the invitations. I did attend the TVCCA meeting, and let me provide you some information about the Groton Child Care Facility. They have secured about $6 million of the projected $16 million to $17 million. Legislature did not approve additional appropriations for this session, budget session, but they are working on submitting another request through another the senator's office, and hopefully that can happen. There's a CIF program that could provide additional dollars down the road, so they're going to apply in June for that round 5. It was a very short meeting, very good meeting. They did talk about homelessness, and they are working with Unite CT if people are still in the area that need help. And homelessness is described as families, living with families that don't have an option to be able to afford rent, to get security deposit. There is a program out that will help them. My next item is for Mr. Moderator and for the public. Our meetings have been very contentious to a degree. We all try our best to be respectful as best we can. We also understand people that watch these meetings, they can be hours long. I've had people not only from Groton say something, I've had people from across the bridge saying stuff that have come up to me and ask, why are these meetings this way? As long as we enforce the rules and remember that all of us elected officials have a right, especially officio members have the right and need to be respected. We cannot take on the intentions of what someone has said. And that was not done at that meeting on May 7th. The next meeting was, there was hints that Mr. Amboise did something wrong in speaking, that he was bullying. He stated facts and his concerns that he's heard from constituents. So we need to figure out the best way of getting these meetings back on track. And that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'd like to thank our community for coming out this evening and speaking during our public hearings as well as citizens petition. It was nice to see a room full of residents and to hear their thoughts. I was very honored to attend the 60th anniversary and building rededication at the Groton Sub-Vets, where I read a congratulatory letter from the council with all those who are in attendance. And it was so nice to see there were veterans there from around the country who came in for this anniversary celebration. Some of the people there had said they hadn't been back to Groton since they were in sub school and back in the 70s or in the 80s, and it was really interesting to talk to them. I also watched the Board of Ed meeting that was mentioned earlier this evening, and the removal of the funding from the school food services, and it was very concerning. I know counselors have reached out. There was an email from Counselor Jones requesting what was in that envelope to see the receipts and requesting what was going on, some information regarding what was going on. I also received miscellaneous communications from numerous people. Actually, the past week has been very busy, and I've been on the phone a lot, it seems. I am also going to talk about what happened at our last COW meeting, also during committee reports under Committee of the Whole by the mayor. But I would simply like to say at this moment that I apologize to our TM moderator, J.C. Ambrose, and I also apologize to our community, and I will make a pledge to try and do more. I have been advised by some elders in the community as well as the town attorneys on how better to handle some certain situations when they seem to be getting out of hand and when people are out of order, and how our council can handle those issues. I know it is not easy for myself, so I can just imagine what it is like for my fellow councilors. And I think we, as a group, I mean, these things have been going on for years. It didn't start with just this council. It has been going on for years now. I too hear from not just community members, but people from outside of our community. I mean, it goes far. People talk about us in Hartford. I mean, these things are known of what happens on this council, and I really want us to do better. And I have made a commitment to this, and I will continue to be better at running the meetings. So up next on our agenda, ex officio, Ambrose, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Again, I'd like to thank you for those remarks regarding the May 28th meeting. It was tough to swallow. I was not at that meeting, or I was usually on Zoom. I was actually at the Board of Ed meeting, and I found out what you did in the recording about the misappropriation of funds for the Board of Ed. I'm giving you this communication as the RTM moderator. I went to speak at that meeting to try to unite together with the Board of Ed, RTM, and ourselves to try to see how we can move forward with the budget that was approved by the RTM and restoration of funds of that 7.9% increase. And I requested that the Board of Ed chair and/or the superintendent of schools comes to our meetings, which is part of our agenda for the RTM, so that they can give us an update on what employees have been reduced and what they plan on doing moving forward, and hopefully get us in the loop on what their next year's budget is going to be. I'm not sure if anybody got this, and I'm going to go to with what Councilor McBride had mentioned. I had spoke to the Board of Ed Chair, Jay Whiteloff, and he said that the 31st date is still in process, and they were hoping that it was going to be done by the end of the week for that audit. Other than that, there was a request sent by the superintendent's office for a potential for a town, city council, RTM, BOE liaison committee meeting in July. So I just wanted to pass that along. They had tossed out some dates of July 11th, July 18th, and July 25th. I have tried to solicit an individual to be that member from the RTM. No one is in that position, so if not, next man up. I guess I'm going to have to do it. So I just wanted to let you all know about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, up next is Clerk of the Council.
No report.
No report. Clerk of the Representative Town Meeting.
Okay, currently there are 5 vacancies at the RTM. District 1 and District 5 each have 1 vacancy for a Democratic seat.
Can you repeat that one more time? I'm sorry.
Yep, District 1 and District 5. They each have 1 vacancy, and it's a Democratic seat. And then District 4 has 3 vacancies, 1 is a Democratic seat. And their next meeting is next week, June 12th at 7 p.m. at Thrive 55 Plus.
All right, thank you.
Point of information?
Your point of information.
I had someone reach out who was interested in the District 1 seat, and I sent them to the DTC. Should I have sent them to the town clerk or to the DTC? Which is the...
To the DTC.
To the DTC.
Mhm.
Okay, that's the
Okay.
proper direction to go.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Town Manager. Oh, do you have a question?
Well, I just have a question, if I can refer back to the public hearing on Thames Valley's request for $65,000.
We're on Clerk of the Representative Town Meeting section.
I understand that.
Okay.
But I was trying to get this in, and I just have a question in regards to their request for their new building. $65,000, they're supposed to be receiving $16
Point of order,
million.
Madam Mayor.
Your point of order?
We are on the clerk of the council. We cannot go back and do communications regarding.
Right, I was trying to hear if this had any kind of relation to the RTM. Does this have any relation to the RTM?
I don't believe so. Where are the funds for the $65,000 coming from, and where?
That's a grant.
Yeah,
So we could discuss that at another time, but we're on clerk of the representative town meeting, and we have to
Right,
stay on
okay.
topic, okay?
okay.
Thank you. Town manager?
Hello. First, in terms of the comments received earlier about Mystic downtown, I'll refer Chief Fasaro to watch that part of the video. Of course, we've been putting a lot of efforts into downtown Mystic. Restrooms, as you know, right now they are 24/7, but we are looking in the new budget to put a lock on that to close off at a certain time. Since we have a lot of vandalism there, we've had fixtures repeatedly broken out. We did put up some more signs not that long ago directing people to the restroom. In terms of bins, I'll take a look at that, but in the art museum, that is private property. The town would not have bins there, but we can look at other spots. As a reminder, there's also, it was mentioned about public urination and litter. Of course, those are against the law throughout the state, so there is something on the books for that. A couple of small items. The Parks and Rec received a grant this week for Top Park, $143,000 from DEEP to expand the trails there. Human Services received a $6,400 grant by Connecticut from the Connecticut Food Fair for an exterior walk-in cooler. And I had a meeting, me and Director Hanover had a meeting about the Mystic Bridge. There's gonna be a rehab project. It won't actually take place until beginning of 26, but you'll be hearing, there'll be, I believe in July, a public informational meeting, and they'll be going through the design process. So in 26, you'll be hearing a lot about that project. And then Councilor McBride, I believe, asked about the audit. We received today just the base audit, a draft. It's going through the QC process, so we're going to be reviewing it, and it's been sent to the Board of Ed now. The actual management letter that would have any comments, and the federal single audit, which is where major comments get repeated at. Those are not, well, my understanding is they're pretty much done, but they're earlier in the QC process, so I hope to have those in the next few days. But the intent is to, I know Finance Director Morris is working with the auditors on scheduling. My hope is that they'll be here the second of May, or June. The intent is to have that done by the end of the month. It looks like that will be on schedule for that. And is there a message on, or a question on healthcare? I thought I heard healthcare, but I missed the question. Maybe I did. Wasn't one.
So can you repeat that? You had a question.
Councilor McBride also have a question about healthcare. I heard healthcare mentioned, but I couldn't hear.
Councilor McBride, would you like to repeat that?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I received some questions from residents on, is anything being done with healthcare? Because during the budget process, we went through and we talked about looking into healthcare further, so I didn't have an answer. So I didn't know if there was any, excuse me, anything being done on reviewing the healthcare for, for the future, for next year's budget.
That is the plan. We're gearing up for that. We had to get through the budget process first, so there's already started to be some talk. We're looking for an earlier memorandum of agreement between the Board of Ed and town and how healthcare works, and we'll go from there. But the intent is, yes, to speed along as quick as we can, looking at options. I'll keep the council fully updated.
Thank you. Okay, up to committee reports. Committee of the Whole, Mayor Franco. Chair Whiteloff had sent an email to the mayor requesting a copy of the document that created a joint health plan between the town and the Board of Ed. This was created many years ago, so I forwarded that off to the town manager and also CC'd all of the counselors. I also had sent a letter to Chair Whiteloff at the Board of Ed on May 2nd with numerous questions And I'm just going to go over some of these questions very quickly without going into details of the questions. But there's a pergola at the middle school, which I was inquiring about more information about, including funding and how it got approved. There was a professional development agenda, professional development day agenda at the schools where I was given a screenshot that on the agenda, staff were allowed to write letters to the RTM, so I inquired about that. I inquired if the school employed a military liaison. I also asked for a detailed list of the 125 positions that the Board of Ed reduced in their budget prior to it coming to the town council. A current list of job positions that are open in the district. And then also a list of paid contractors in the school system, as well as what their student-teacher ratio is. And I sent this May 2nd. I had BCC'd the town council. I also, as well as the Board of Ed, and I just had to follow up yesterday because I have not received a response to that. So I'm hoping to hear back. And then also, I'd like to note that on the last cow, that the attack that, what I consider to be an attack on ex officio Amboise was out of order. And to bring personality and motives into our meeting with relation to the RTM moderator. And I would like to apologize, like I have before, for allowing that to go on as long as it did. And I would like to note that at this time that I'm calling Councilor Bordelon's behavior out of order. It was decorum issue, and it was definitely out of order. And I would like that to be notated in the record. Okay. So moving on to personal and appointments, Chair Jones.
No meeting, no report.
Thank you. Rules, Chair Parker.
We had a meeting on May 29th, which was Wednesday night. There is a problem on page 33 of the packet. It says May 30th. It was really May 29th, and that is an item up for discussion this evening that I'll go over then.
Thank you. Public Safety Chair Rusk.
No meeting, no report.
Thank you. We're on to new business, 2024-468. Are we actually going into the, let me see something. Did he change?
Yes. We changed it on first.
I just want to look at this because I was given a new one when I sat down.
The rules were put, changed to the first item under new business.
It is. All right, I'm looking at the wrong one. Thank you. So number one is 2024-533-1, Citizens Petition Rule Change.
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Council Parker, would you like to take the resolution?
I would. A resolution amending rules for the 34th Town Council, whereas the Town Council meeting on February 6, 2024, the Town Council adopted the 34th Town Council rules and procedures, and whereas at their May 29th, 2024 meeting, the Town Council Rules and Procedures Committee recommended that the language be added to the citizens petition section of the rules. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Council amends the rules of the procedure of the 34th Council with the following change to be effective immediately. Rule 11, Citizens Petitions, A, addition of who is not a member of the Groton Town Council be added to the second sentence after a citizen's comments, which is on page, so moved.
Second.
Moved by Parker, seconded by Gasky. Continue.
So this is on page 9 of our rules, but on page 43 in our packet, and it is highlighted. So this was a referral that was sent to the Rules Committee with the appropriate other two support. So the question was, or the language that they wanted added in was, any citizen who is not a voting member of the Groton Town Council wishing to speak during citizens' petitions, comments, and concerns, or during a public hearing may do so by notifying the mayor, clerk of the council, or the town manager's office at any time prior to the hour the meeting is called at which the citizen desires to speak. In our discussions, we realized that Rule 11 does address the citizens' petitions. So our concern was the citizens' petition is actually for the citizens who are not elected officials to be able to get a chance to speak and to have more open format for the public. As we're all members of the Groton Town Council, we have an opportunity to speak while we're here at the meeting. And that would take away from the other citizens who would love to speak at our meetings. That was our thought process.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments? Councilor Gieske.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This was actually my referral to the Rules Committee. I had spoken with Attorney Rich Cody about possible language that would be appropriate and to send to the Rules Committee. So this has been a months-long process, and it started. There's been a lot, in my opinion. There have been counselors going on for about a year now, speaking during citizens' comments, and I feel that we have the honor of being elected to the body. It is our job to listen to the public, and we have our time to speak during counselor communications. So to ensure that the community is being listened during citizens' petitions, I feel it is important to add this language, and I will be in favor of it. And I thank you to the Rules Committee for completing my referral. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am always a counselor. No matter where I am in the town, I always speak as a counselor. Since doing this, becoming a counselor 3 years ago, no matter where I am, whoever I'm speaking to, from the resident to me, they always look at me as a counselor. And I can be, again, in the woods, or I can be at the grocery store, but everybody sees me once they know who I am or quickly learn who I am. They look at me and listen to me as a counselor. So and I accept that responsibility fully, and I'm unable to sort of separate myself to be a citizen sometimes and be a counselor other times. I'm always a counselor in residents' eyes, and the words I say they look to me as a representative of the town for answers and questions and things like that. So I fully support this. I think we're not able to, as counselors, we're elected officials, we're not able to switch back and forth between counselor and citizen. We are always seen as a counselor by our residents, and I think that's the proper way we should be, is be counselors and represent the town. So as I say, I will support this, and I'm happy to do it.
Thank you. Councilor McBride.
I'm in support of this while I did research on some other municipalities, and most of them have this. But I just have a question, because I'm usually, when I look at words, the way I'm reading this, and I'm in support of it, it says citizens comment who is not a member of Groton Town Council. So the way I read that is it's coming off negative. So what I would like the council to consider would be, would you continue to say who is not a member of the town council, and then in parentheses, as councilors have opportunities for comments during council reports as well as under new business? Because I think someone may look at this and automatically say they're not allowing councilors to speak. And it's not that we're not allowing councilors to speak. We're not allowing councilors to speak because, as several others have mentioned, they have other opportunities to speak. So I think it would be important to include in parens where the councilors have opportunities to present. So I'm not necessarily going to make a motion to do that right now. I just want to get council's thoughts on that, because I think it's a little harsh to say not a member of town council without explaining why the not a member of town council is in there. So I think it's important to include, but I think if we could define it a little bit further and explain to the person who's reading this why they're not able to speak, it would make more sense to someone who just reads that particular paragraph. So that's my comment, and I'm free to, comments from any other counselors, but I really think it would be in our best interest to explain why we're doing this. So, thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Parker, do you have a response?
I do. The rest of the rules already contain the rest of it, of when we're allowed to speak. Because when we had our discussion, that's the reason why we put it in the citizens petition, because all other spots, all other rules pertain to that, besides the freedom of information. But all other sections do talk about when we can speak and when we cannot speak, and how many minutes to speak. That's just my opinion.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I'm just going to take a very quick moment to respond to Councilor McBride. I appreciate where you would like to give the public an explanation to this, but I don't think the rules in themselves usually give an explanation to everything as well as to, well, we're doing this so you can do this and that. It usually doesn't explain it all, but I do appreciate what you're saying, and I would hope that the community does understand that we as elected officials have a lot of opportunity to speak. And it's not even just that we have opportunity to speak here with our comments and concerns. We have social media, we have events that we can go to, we can hold events. So this is not curtailing anybody from sharing their opinions on things. It is just during citizens' comments, I personally believe we should be here listening to the actual citizens and what they have to say, and appreciating that. Okay. Any other comments? Okay, we will take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 8-0. Moving on, 2024-468, 2 Shore Avenue Seawall Reconstruction Project. I think Councilor McBride. Well, wait a minute. Before we even take this matter up, it was brought to my attention. We passed the consent, we didn't pass the whole consent calendar, we passed the minutes. And we did not pass the special trust fund contributions for May. And that is on page 31. Because we are going backwards, do we need to suspend the rules to be able to go backwards and do this? Because we are taking things out of order. I don't think this is a giant issue here, but let's just vote to suspend the rules so we can go backwards on our agenda. And would somebody like to make that motion?
I make a motion to suspend the rules and go back to item 2024-112, special trust fund contributions made.
Second, Parker.
All right.
And I believe that needs to vote, right?
Suspend rules, moved by Rusk, seconded by Parker. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Passes 8-0. All right, now I'm going to ask Councilor McBride, would you like to take on page 31, the resolution?
Certainly. A resolution accepting contributions to special trust funds. Resolved that the town council hereby accepts contributions to the town as follows. Margaret Russell, $250, social service discretionary. Connecticut, Zeta chapter, Alpha Delta Kappa, $200, social service discretionary.
Second, Gasky.
All right, moved by McBride, seconded by Gieske. Any discussion?
Point of information,
Yes.
do we need to do the ones on page 32 also?
And the donation?
You have a point there.
Yes.
No, actually, this is for the food locker, and I believe they give this to us for informational purposes. Is that correct, Councilor, Town Manager Burt?
It's a contribution, still a contribution.
Say that again, please.
On page 32, is that supposed to be part of the resolution on page 31, or is that for informational purposes?
It's part of the resolution prior.
All right, because on page 31, it lists 2 donations, and it doesn't list anything on page 32. Do we have to go to the next page? Because I thought those were informational purposes only, because they used to not put those.
Put them in the consent calendar.
Okay. So we have to accept both page 31 and 32.
Correct, yes.
So,
You'll see on 31, it says food locker donations, and then you go to the next page, and those are the 2 donations.
so,
You see it right under attachments on page
Right.
31. So they do go together.
So when you make the resolution, you read it, you list the 2 items on page 31, and then you can just say, as well as food locker donations.
That would be fine. When you have something in the actual agenda in advance, you can do whatever you want.
So
For passing it.
Would you like to
Amend.
rephrase it, maybe?
Amend.
Amend it? Do we do make a
I'll-
whole new amendment?
I'll amend the motion. Do we need to
Okay.
rescind the previous one? No. I'll amend the motion to include the food locker donations, to include Carol and Vincent Spoonar in the amount of $100 and Nancy Barnhart in the amount of $70.
Second, Kowski.
Okay, amended motion by McBride, seconded by Gieske. All right, any comments? Counselor Rusk?
This is kind of an odd comment, but I addressed this with Town Manager Byrd, and this is because I work there. United Way does not have a $100 membership due anymore, and has not, at least since I've worked there for the past 2+ years. So that is incorrect and will be taken out. It's
Okay,
the last
in the
sentence.
future?
In the future.
You're not making an amendment?
No.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, let's take a vote on this one. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 8-0 to 0. Now let's take a vote on the main motion with the amendment. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right, that'll pass 8-0 to 0. Thank you, everybody, for that. Now let's go back into our regular new business. We're on 2024-468-2 Shore Avenue Seawall Reconstruction Project. Counselor Jones, would you like to take that one?
And I need to resolve only, right?
Let me see, which page are we on?
Money,
Page 45.
Or do you
I
want-
believe, from what I'm understanding, it is the resolved,
Okay.
and the title. The title
20
first and then resolved.
2024-468 Shore Avenue Seawall Reconstruction Project. Resolution to approve funds for the American Rescue Plan Act Fund to the City of Groton for the Shore Avenue Seawall Reconstruction Project. Resolved that the Town Council approves $1.4 million be allocated from the American Rescue Plan Act funds to the City of Groton for the Shore Ave Seawall Reconstruction Project, and to refer the item to the RTM per Rule 6.5.3. So moved.
Moved by Jones, seconded by Rusk. We have any comments? Counselor McBride.
Thank you. As I mentioned during the cow, I have concerns, and it may seem immaterial to some, but I really have concerns with us approving a resolution that calls this a seawall that the Groton town is paying for. And the reason of my concern, as I mentioned previously, is if we could be setting precedent here that we're fixing seawalls, and that there are many seawalls in Groton, that as a result of this, we may be having to replace them because we have to fund Groton City and Groton Long Point 100% of their roads. So I have concerns with using the term seawall in this, because either Groton Town Groton City or Groton Long Point could go back to us, in my opinion, and say we need fixing a seawall, which is adjacent to a road. And I think it could be millions and millions of dollars if we head in that direction. So I'm in favor of this, but I was shot down when I mentioned this in the community meeting whole. I'm in favor of the project, but it's a retaining wall. It's not a seawall. And I think I'll actually make a motion to change this to say the Shore Avenue retaining wall reconstruction project, because I think it's important we differentiate between paying money for a seawall versus a retaining wall.
Mayor?
I have a amended motion on the table for seawall to be changed to retaining wall. Do I have a second?
I can second for discussion.
McBride, seconded by Pacino. Town Manager Burt?
Just to mention, I kept the title since that's the title the city bid the project out as. However, I did add that, we didn't read it, but the second to last whereas, I put in there for the sake of Councilor McBride's comment, failure of the seawall could result in a catastrophic failure of the roadways, including, so yeah, if you read through that, I put in there about, it's really about the road. My intent was, it's really about the roadway.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments? Counselor Jones?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm in favor of the original name. Partly my concern is this project has been going on for a long time, and they have done construction plans, they've done money for the state, they've gone after lots of different places, and this is the name that's in everything, everywhere, and changing the name, I don't know what kind of problem that would have if we start changing the name. It's been a consistent name since we've been dealing with this almost, I guess, 3 years, 2.5 years. So I'd be reluctant to change any names because I don't know what that would affect as it kind of moves down. And we all know it's retaining wall, and thank you, Town Manager Burt, for putting in retaining wall. And so I maintain to leave the name as it is so that all the paperwork and documentation is consistent and the same all the way through the entire project. It stays that way. So.
Thank you. Counselor Merritt?
I believe I got the first request through the RTM for this approximately 3 years ago, and it was seawall then, and it shows here whereas the Shore Avenue seawall is breaking apart, that's been named as a seawall, and nothing has ever come from anyone until these past few meetings that referred to this project. Nobody's ever mentioned retaining wall until we just started getting into it as either a retaining wall or seawall. And I can't understand why we have to make a decision on what we're going to call it. It's been projected as a seawall. It's been probably contracted out as a seawall. I think we should move forward on the word seawall.
Thank you. Any other comments? I think I will be in favor of the main motion, but I would like to say, Councilor McBride, if you would like it noted, you could put it in the, have it noted that you would potentially like vote in favor of something, but have it noted in the record that you would, your concern.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks.
All right, so we will, if we don't have any other comments, we'll vote on the amended change from seawall to retaining wall. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? So that fails 1 to 7 to 0. We're on to the main motion that is in our packet. Any comments? Okay, let's take a vote on that. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 8 to 0 to 0. Up next, 2024-461-1, FYE 2024 suspense list. This is on page 46 in our packet. Counselor Rusk, would you like to take that?
Yes. Resolution establishing the fiscal year 2024 suspense list. Resolved that the following amounts be added to the suspense list as reported to the town council. Town, $715,454,000. No, I'm sorry.
You're in the club.
I'm in the club. $715,454.63. Sewer District, $320.22. Mumford Cove, $1.98. Total for $715,776.83. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Russ, seconded by Gajewski. All right, do we have any other comments on this one? All righty then, let's take a vote. 2024-461-1, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? 8 to 0 to 0, that passes. Next to 2024-512-1, job description updates, OPDS and library, that's on page 47 of our packet. Councilor Pacino, would you like to take that one?
Yes, item 2024-512, job description updates, OPDS and library. Resolution approving the new job description for the position of Sustainability and Resilience Specialist, and the job description updates to the ARPA Coordinator and Assistant Director of Library Service positions. Resolved that the Town Council approves the new description for the position of Sustainability Resilience Specialist, the job description updates for the Opera Coordinator Grant Administrator, and the Assistant Director of Library Services. So moved.
Second, Jones?
Moved by Pacino, seconded by Jones. And for anybody watching at home, we have had full discussion of these items in our COW meetings, and this is how we pass it, our final passing of the vote to make it official. I don't see any hands, so let's take a vote. 2024-512-1. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 8-0. Up next, 2024-466-1, Police Tower Land Lease Agreement, Setting Public Hearing Date Resolution. That is on page 48 of our packet. Counselor Merritt, would you like to read that?
Okay, 2024-466 Police Tower Land Lease Agreement, setting public hearing date resolution.
You can read the very last resolved.
Yeah, resolved that the town council hereby set a public hearing date for the lease for communications facilities for July 2nd, 2024.
Second, Kayasky.
Moved by Merritt, second by Gajewski. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Or Councilor McBride?
Just one question. I brought it up at the COW. That's a busy week for people. A lot of people take vacation. A lot of people are off that July week. So I was just wondering if the council would consider moving this one and possibly the next one to July 9th, if there's an urgency, or is there an urgency to have it on July 2nd, or even later, because I think we could be missing people that want to speak. That was just my only question.
Mayor?
Yes, Counselor, Town Manager
Just a
Burke?
sec. We've had a request to fast track, I've actually slowed it down a bit, a request to fast track this because of a potential tenant on the tower may end up looking elsewhere. They wanted it done by the end of June, and I told them that's not going to be possible. However, the intent right now is on the whatever day, the next Tuesday would be the 10th, is it? Whatever day that is, that we would have the discussion then and hopefully potentially have even a special council that day, if all goes well in the public hearing. And they're not available later in the month to attend.
Thank you. Counselor Parker, did you have your hand up?
I did. Through you, Madam Mayor. Actually, Mr. Burt already answered the question if it was going to delay the process, but I believe we would have to have a special town council meeting in order to move these, because we only do public hearings at town council meetings, correct?
That's correct.
And that would put us, we would do a town council and a regular COW meeting at the same time.
Right.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I don't see any other hands, so let's take a vote on 2024-466-1. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 8-0. Up next, 2024-508-1, alteration of a scenic road, 1034 River Road. That is on page 49 of our packet. Counselor Parker, would you like to take that?
A resolution to set a public hearing for alteration of a scenic road, 1034 River Road. Now therefore be it resolved that the town council will be holding a public hearing regarding the alteration of River Road on July 2nd, 2024. So move.
Second, Kayasky.
Moved by Parker, seconded by Gajewski. Do we have any comments? Again, discussed all this in COW, so this is setting a public hearing for July 2nd as well. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 8-0. Up next, 2024-453-1, Master Municipal Agreement for Design Projects. That is on page 50 of our packet. And Counselor Gieske, would you like to take that one?
Yes, of course I would, Madam Mayor. I move item 2024-453, Master Municipal Agreement for Design Projects. Be it resolved that John Burt, Town Manager, is hereby authorized to sign the agreement entitled Master Municipal Agreement to Design Projects. So moved.
Second, Parker.
Moved by Gieske, seconded by Parker. I don't see any hands, so we'll take a vote. On 2024-453-1. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 8-0. All right, number 2024-504-1, Master Municipal Agreement for Construction Projects. That's on page 51 of our packet. Counselor McBride, would you like to take that one?
Sure. I'll move 2024-504 Master Municipal Agreement for Construction Projects. Be it resolved that John Burt, Town Manager, is hereby authorized to sign the agreement entitled Master Municipal Agreement for Construction Projects.
Second, Jones.
Moved by McBride, seconded by Jones. I do not see any hands up, so we'll take a vote on 2024-504-1. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? That passes 8-0. Up next, 2024-323-2, Groton Heights, draft request for proposal to planning and zoning and RTM. That is listed on page 52. Counselor Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item 2024-323, Groton Heights draft request for proposal to PZC and RTM. Resolved that the Town Council refers the draft RFP to the Planning and Zoning Commission and the representative town meeting for their review and input. So moved.
Second, Gieske.
Moved by Jones, seconded by Gieske. Any comments? Counselor Rusk.
I just have a quick question. So we are sending this to Planning and Zoning and the RTM for their review and input, and my apologies, because this is the first time I've been through this. Does it come back to us for a final? Like, can they make comments and changes, and then it comes back to us, or this is our final stab at this?
Town Manager Burt, would you
No,
like to take that?
If they have recommended changes, we would bring them back. When the final version will be whatever the town council wants.
So it comes back to us one more time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Counselor Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am in favor of this. I'm excited that we are finally moving one of our town properties out to RFP. I thank the Planning and Development Department for putting together a good RFP, listening to the council for changes, incorporating those into this RFP, and I'm excited to see what we get back on a building that we've been waiting a long time to get out into the market, and it'll be interesting to see what comes. So I'm 100% in favor of moving this forward to the next step. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? All righty, like I said, these have all been fully discussed in our COW, and we are finalizing our votes here. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right, that is passed 8-0. We now have other business, which is open agenda items. That is located on page 76. Does anybody, we haven't touched this topic in a long time. Is there anybody that would like to have any discussion on these matters? Counselor Parker.
Yes, I'd like to remove 2 items on the agenda that are currently for the Rules Committee, because we've already taken care of that. The streamlining, that was not put into the consent calendar, so that was removed. And the Council Committee representation, that was already decided at the Rules Committee, that didn't, it was in the meeting minutes. So if we can take those two items off, they've already been settled.
Okay. Counselor Gieske?
Nope, Councilor McBride. I didn't have my hand.
Oh, Counselor McBride, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
thought I saw both of you.
This is just a question, I'm not sure if this is the right format, but earlier tonight, we heard about downtown Mystic and issues with garbage, let's say. And I'm just wondering, with regards to NIPS miniature bottle funding, is there a way we could bring that one forward, or if the council desires to move this forward as a way to use some of that NIPS funding to purchase additional trash cans for Mystic? I'm not sure if this is the time to discuss it, or is this, we bring this to
So
town
if,
manager?
let me ask you, so there's NIPS miniature bottles buyback program, that was a referral. If you want to put more garbage cans and maybe use some of the funding from the NIPS, you can make a referral by email and send it to the town manager. He will send it out to all councilors, and if you get 2 supporting people to sign off on it, then it can get onto our list.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? Does anybody else have anything on here that they want to discuss or have questions on it? I will let you know that I had a discussion with Town Manager Burt this week, and there were items on here because it seems like we're getting through some of our heavy stuff that we had piling up that needed to be taken care of. So I was asking him if there are things on here that he can maybe discuss with some of his staff and start moving some of the things that we have as our priority to come forward at the council. Although there are things on here that we are working on. Our number 1 item on here is a plan for selling /use of town properties. And we are moving forward on that, and we have them coming up on our upcoming agendas. There are some things that are so in-depth, like the Connecticut Veterans Services Director position. That is a very in-depth discussion. There's a lot of things that are going on with that topic. But at some point, it's going to have to come forward, and I know Councilor Jones, and I believe Councilor Pacino may be working on that. There is downtown Mystic parking that has had discussions, Sutton Park. Community recreational events, I believe that's something that we have as our priority, but there's also, I believe we had some discussions of this possibly in the budget of one of the positions doing more events too. So hopefully we can see that increase. The NIPS, Town Manager Burt said he's going to talk to Director Hanover about this and see how they could possibly make that happen. Affordable housing, we have this, anything that can do with affordable housing that could come to the council should make the agenda kind of thing. The STR process, which we're on hold at the moment. Town open space review goals, that was discussed with Mr. Burt as well. And I think they have to get some background, more informational background on how much open space do we have and some other data so that we can make an informed decision when we decide, like, what's a number that we're happy with. Flooding and weather-related resiliency, always a work in progress, but there might be also some other things with the signage. Grant coordinator position, Mr. Burt said that he is going to be getting to that, but he's not prepared yet. Community center decision, including funding, I don't know, that's another big giant discussion as well. And the solar array at the transfer station will probably be taken care of pretty soon, and that might be able to drop off, and we can check the box that and it's an achievement.
Mayor?
Yes.
I was just going to mention that I did indeed speak with Director Hanover about the NIPS. He is going to give it some thought, do a little research, and put some information together to bring to the council.
Right, and I don't know if any other community is doing this, so it might be like a pilot program that you see how we can do it. And then some of the other referrals that were below that, there are some things that I think we are sort of working on at the moment, but there are some other items that Mr. Burt had said that we could bring forward. Councilor Rusk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So regarding the Public Safety Committee, we did have an initial meeting. It was right before the budget process. And then we've had months of budget. So we haven't met again. So we will, hopefully I will reach out to the town manager to see when a good time would be for all of staff and coordinate with the committee.
All right,
move forward with
sounds
those.
good. All right, that sounds good. And some of these, I mean, I don't know if you've already had staff input, but I can recall in the past that even the safety committee would meet without staff as well. So if you want to have discussions, to look for directions as well as, come up with some kind of ideas.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I just have a question.
Counselor Jones?
Through the mayor to the town manager. Mr. Byrd, have we put in the solar compact trash collectors in downtown Mystic yet?
Yes,
So we have some trash collection down there.
yes. One near the restroom, I believe, one at the corner of Water Street in Maine, another one we put in down by, right next to the bridge. So I know we at least have those solar.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, I don't see any other hands. Who's going to make it?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Moved by Parker. Seconded by Rusk. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? That passes 8-0. Everybody have a great night. Drive safe.
At 8:50.
8. Thank you.